hoping that it works. Last time I tried this, it takes like a minute or like this. So.
Yes. And meanwhile, guys, we are NYC Python. If you have not heard about us, um, we are an organization. We love Python, solving puzzles, problems. So check us out if you haven't yet.
Okay. All right. We're live. All right. I'll start. So welcome to the New York Lightning Talks by New York City Python, where we hold Lightning Talks monthly. We're organized by a group of volunteers, and my name's Thomas. Some of us are here. There's Anna and Genesis. They're here. They're organizers, and we're volunteers for New York City Python. I would like to remind everyone that we have a code of conduct. I put it in the chat. Everyone, all attendees and speakers should follow must follow the code of conduct. And yeah, so and every week we have a project night on Discord, and you can find out more about that on our meetup page. So Lightning Talks. Lightning Talks are short 5-minute talks where you could talk about something technical or not, something cool that you learned this week or this month or recently. You don't need slides, you don't have to be prepared, and anyone could speak, and even if you're totally new to Python. Okay. So, and yeah, so we have for those that are attending, we have a sign up form, and it's not too late to sign up. You don't need to. Yeah, as I said, you don't have to prepare. So you can sign if you're interested in speaking right now. You could sign up now, and without if I miss anything. If I don't think I missed anything, so let's start with our first speaker. Okay, which is Angus, and he's going to speak with us about Language Lab. I'm going to spotlight you.
Okay, great. Oh, spotlight. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you all for coming. I'm excited about this language lab app. I've been working on it as I was telling the organizers. I've been doing it. Whoops, wrong. I shared the wrong screen. I've been working on this for. There we go. Okay. I've been working on this for years, including at the NYC Python meetup. So really appreciate the support I've gotten from NYC Python members. Okay, so now here we go. All right, so let me be fast as lightning. Okay, so so this is the quick outline of what I'm going to talk about. First of all, Language Lab. You may have used some language apps online. This is kind of similar. The basic outline is you play a model from a particular language for a user. The user listens to the model and repeats it. You record the learner, the user who is the learner, you record them. Then you play the model back again, and you play back the recording of the learner to that learner so they can hear how they sounded and compare themselves with the model. Okay? So you've heard about other language apps. Why am I making an open source one? One thing is that these Language Lab apps are closed, meaning that they have to commit resources to to make a particular language or dialect or accent available to people to study. With an open source model, you can set up your own Language Lab server and host whatever kinds of language data you want. There are other applications, voice training, for gender exploration, dialects, impressions, singing, karaoke, transgender karaoke, instrument practice, all kinds of things. Now, what this particular app doesn't do, it is not a media server. It relies on a separate media server. It also doesn't do digital rights management. So here's a sample. You essentially add the media metadata, then you have a media clip and you create exercises from within that clip and you combine them into lessons, and then you offer those lessons to the user. So it's built on the Django REST framework, which basically does all those good RESTful things, with a couple extra libraries. The front end is React.js with Bootstrap, so it works on desktops and phones using the browser audio APIs. So any kind of browser, any kind of modern browser, it'll work with. So since this is NYC Python, I wanted to show you a little bit of the Python. This is a method of one of the models that that if you want to re-rank the items in a lesson queue, you call it with the item ID and the direction up or down, and then it'll get the queue, it'll get the rank, it'll check to see if it's at the beginning and you want to go up, it won't move it. If it's at the end, it won't, and you want to go down, it won't move it. It calls a function to get a new rank, and then it sets that new rank, but it also finds what had that rank and swaps it, so that if you move it down, then it moves the other one up, and so forth. So now a quick demo. I have a little video, but I'm actually going to do it live. So let's say that you wanted to learn Spanish, and you didn't like any of the models available on all the existing Language Lab apps. You wanted to sound like Guillermo del Toro. And you had an MP3 of an interview of Guillermo del Toro. You could upload it to a Language Lab, and then you listen to the model of Guillermo del Toro. You repeat it, and then you play it back. So here goes.
No, tenía la historia y comenzó el boceto.
No, tenía la historia y comenzó el boceto.
No, tenía la historia y comenzó el boceto.
No, tenía la historia y comenzó el boceto. Right. So let's say that I didn't like the way I pronounced that word boceto. Right. So I'm going to try it again.
No, tenía la historia y comenzó el boceto.
No, tenía la historia y comenzó el boceto.
No, tenía la historia y comenzó el boceto.
No, tenía la historia y comenzó el boceto. Okay, so now I move on to the next item in the queue.
La película repite el motivo del agua como cada 2 minutos.
La película repite el motivo del agua como cada 2 minutos.
La película repite el motivo del agua como cada 2 minutos.
La película repite el motivo del agua como cada 2 minutos. Okay, so obviously my Spanish accent needs some work, but you get the idea. And I just wanted to show you the reordering, right? So here's the queue. Let's say that I wanted to have this one be the second one in the queue, right? So, whoops, so it still needs a little work. I think it's because I timed out, but I don't want to get into that right now. Let me go back to the presentation. I'm here to demonstrate. There we go. So my big priority is that right now, if you have if you give access to anybody, if you create an account, everybody has access to everything, including write access, which is why I don't have a live demo. So the next version of Language Lab is going to have user level and group level permissions. So that's what I'm working on. I would love some open source contributions. Please look over the source. It's right here on GitHub. Send me a pull request, or you can also check it out and install it on your own server. It's pretty easy to set up. Let me know if you have any questions or need any help with it. Thanks a lot. Looking forward to the other talks.
Thanks for sharing, Language Lab.
Yeah.
Right now, we're opening up for questions. Does anyone have any questions? While people are thinking about it, I have a question. So you mentioned that it depends on a media server, like a separate server, like
Right. The original version of it, I actually used the Django media directory, so you could upload things, but I realized that created all kinds of potential digital rights issues. So now essentially you could build that functionality back in, but currently it just has a you can just have like a website somewhere that you can you post your media clips on, and then you just have a URL.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I have a question. So you mentioned that you use Django for it. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Why Django? Like, why this choice? Why not anything else? What was the advantages for this framework versus something else like React or like doing it in JavaScript?
Well, no, it is using plenty of React and JavaScript, but it's Django for the back end as opposed to some kind of node thing, mainly because I came to NYC Python and not the NYC Node meetup. So yeah, I learned how to do Django and Flask. But you could use any kind of REST server. You could use Java with Spring Boot. You could use you could use PHP with Symfony, or what is it, Laravel. You could all kinds of, you could use Node, but the front end is in what's it called, is in React.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. And so AJ asked about a GitHub link, so I posted it in the chat. So please feel free to check it out, and try installing it, make any pull requests or whatever.
Would you be okay with us sharing that on NYC Python Twitter page?
Oh, please, yeah.
Okay. Is there any other questions? I guess one more. Do you have any pain points with REST framework and Dagit?
Oh, in
Tagit, yeah.
Oh yeah, because I use Django Tagit, right, for so because the Language Lab, you can add tags to things. I found that Tagit actually worked fairly well. I might have I think basically, the tricky things in REST framework were involved, like basically getting the the queue management, and one thing I still haven't quite figured out how to do is to get it to to use the user login, the same web token basically for the React client in JavaScript, and the Django REST framework interface where you can see the underlying JSON, because I think it's cool to see the underlying JSON. But I haven't gotten it to, you could conceivably have the Language Lab server and the JavaScript client running on different web servers, and I want to preserve that functionality. But yeah, being able to log in and see the underlying JavaScript is one of the features I like about Django REST framework. And I broke it for the I broke it to have the React client, and I haven't figured out how to get it working. So if anybody has any recommendations, please let me know.
I recommend going to the Discord weekly Wednesday project nights for finding people that may know the answer to this.
Yeah, I may start going to those again. I did go to a bunch of them, or a few of them last year. Doing some work on the project while I'm on Discord. Yeah, those are great.
That's a great idea. We still meet every Wednesday on Discord, so you can access this meetup from anywhere, from your home, from the cafeteria, or from your vacation, and just hang out. It's pretty cool.
Okay. All right. I think. Thanks for sharing, Angus.
Oh yeah, thank you all for listening and checking it out.
Let me move spotlights. Okay. It's also not too late to sign up. Anyone that's here, the sign up page is open, and if you have anything you've learned recently and you would like to share, you don't need to prep. Feel free to sign up. So our next speaker is me, which I came with this title 45 minutes ago, so I'm the less prepared one out of the bunch. Angus is much more prepared than I am, but let's start. The title is How to Introduce Black Formatting to a Code Base That Is a Decade Old. All right. I'm going to share my screen. This is something that happened today, something I started 8 months ago, I think. So I'm going to share my screen. It's okay. All right, so everyone could see this one screen that says applies black formatting to most of the code base. All right, so for those who are, to give a background, black is a formatter for Python. It automatically formats your code to a certain style, and it's automatic. Here's the link. I'll put the link in the chat at the end when I have questions. So it's very good for two reasons. When you code, you don't have to worry about formatting. You save, it formats for you. So that's as a user. As an open source project, such as scikit-learn, it's very good for review. So we don't have review style changes anymore. It just works, and we don't have to nitpick about styling of your code. So those are the two big reasons. Why did it take so long? Is manifold. If you look really closely at the corner here, you can see that this is a big diff. So it touches a lot of code, and it kind of breaks git blame. Because I'm touching so much code, so it's very hard to get blame. So one of the things we work toward is to get this to go through is to introduce something called git blame ignore refs, which means you could have git blame ignore some commits. So that's like one thing. That's a technical issue. So that's solved. The bigger issue is everyone on board with doing this? Like, not everyone loves like a formatting, something formatted to tell you how to format code. And after, I think this is like a year of discussion, and after more people started to use it, people came to the understanding that having something format for you is pretty good. You don't have to think about formatting. You just save and it works. So like after a year or so of going back and forth, decided that black is a thing. And so yes, and so that was the number one issue, and number two was a git blame. Number three was when you touch this much code, all pull requests are now have merge conflicts. They have conflicts everywhere because you formatted everything, and so like how do we deal with that? We had to think of a scheme for this, and the scheme was, if I could navigate through it, it's kind of okay. It's I not prepared. All right, so this is the scheme, right? This is the scheme I thought of to make sure this works. All right, so let's say I'm trying to merge with master and have conflicts. First thing you do as a contributor is to abort, fetch the changes, merge with the commit right before the black formatting commit. I added one extra step to cherry pick this PR's configuration, install black, and then run black formatter on the code changes, and then commit, and then merge. And this turns out to be okay. It's kind of complicated, but it's a short-term thing because this is only for current pull requests. All future pull requests will have black formatted code, so it's nothing to worry about. So this is a temporary thing that is ease scikit-learn development when it comes to dealing with merge conflicts when you have black formatted code. And so I'm going to start to try to sell this to other projects so that because this is a major detractor of doing this because it detracts from contributors, and having contributors have a good experience when it comes to projects is very important to open source maintenance. So that's the story about how Black just 3 hours ago got into how we introduced Black formatting to scikit-learn. Thanks for listening.
Awesome. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much. While we are getting open for Q&A, I will start with the first question to Thomas. Thomas, can you please re-explain what is Black formatting is? I don't think I got it that well.
Oh, so Black formatting has, let's see, it makes stylistic choices about how Python should be formatted, as in how does it look in code. So it's very good as a demonstration. It's should I demonstrate? All right, let me just demonstrate really quickly, very quickly. All right, so this is a benchmark. All right, it's Python. I could style it another way. Like let's say I want to style like this, valid Python, but when I run save, it formats it in a way that it auto formats it with some set style, so that you don't have to think about formatting when you program. It just formats it for you. So it runs Black every time I save. So it's so Black, in essence, Black is a opinionated formatter. It's code formatter. If that makes sense. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Thank you.
Like if I save now, it auto formats the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Oh, that was pretty cool answer. Thank you so much. Okay, does anybody else have questions for Thomas? Next question.
I have a comment in the sense, like I tried to do this on a 10-year-old project, like not in an open source project, which sounds even harder. Like kudos to like all the communication, like, people get very sensitive about, an opinionated code formatter and all the issues in the transition. So like, I think you've done a great work here, and hopefully that the pain of that little workaround will disappear pretty quickly as long living PRs disappear. And long-living PRs are the devil. So thumbs up on this.
Thank you. They're very good long-living PRs. It just needs like a little more love, and then they become great again. But thank you for the comments. I think we have a question in the chats by Darcy. What does great contributor experience look like in CSS project? It's an interesting concept that I've never thought about. I don't have much experience with CSS projects, so I can't speak too heavily about that. OSS projects. Okay, I have experience in that. Repeat the question. What does great contributor experience look like in a open source project? There's many avenues for this. Number one is have good contributor documentation. So people know, like there's a place online you can look at to start contributing. So that's number one. Number two is a harder one to get, is getting quick feedback from maintainers when you do a pull request. Right? So depending on project, sometimes maintainers may not have availability to respond, but being able to respond quick makes for a great contributor experience. So those are the two things I could think of on top of my mind. And this will be one of them, because computers don't have to think about formatting, so which is great. So this will be a good, we hope, good contributor experience. Yeah. Oh, and running CI. If having CI set up so that pull requests could run tests every time you submit a pull request is very good for the contributor, because you could see what issues you have by looking at the automated tests. And as a maintainer, the tests are run every time you submit a pull request and every change on a pull request. That means it's easier for a maintainer to maintain the project. Yeah. There must be a lot more than this. These are the things I have on the top of my head. Thanks for the question.
All right. Does anyone else have questions or comments?
Yeah, so I guess Thomas, are you what editor are you using right now there?
This is VS Code.
Okay, so I've never used Visual Studio. Does it? So it doesn't format your Python on the fly or anything like that?
Oh, I'm gone. Sorry.
I mean, I can see, like, does it do those indents for you, or
like if I mess up the formatting like this, if I save it, so every time I save, it does this is before I save, and it's after I save. So it does the automatic formatting when I save.
No, well, you're saying that Black does the automated format.
Yes.
But Visual Studio does not do the automated format.
No.
Okay.
So you have to configure Visual Studio Code to use Black.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because I do some. I've actually been using Python Anywhere for a bunch of my coding, and it has some very simple, like, just indentations and things like that. But I mean, so this but yeah, so if somebody loaded a like if they accepted the pull request with Black, and then loaded it into their editor, they could have some different rules with with that, and the editor would save it again with a different set of rules, right?
All right, so the way Black works is when you run Black on the root directory, it's configured. So the way Black works is when you run Black dot, it looks at the configuration for the project and then runs it. The configuration is very light, and let me pull it up. Just we're here, might as well. The configuration it's in the PyProject TOML, which is another topic about Python. This is a too old of a version. I have 5 different branches of scikit-learn, so give me a second. I mean 5 different folders, because I'm working on yeah. So anyways, I think this one has it. Yeah, here we go. So it's in PyProject TOML, and it has configuration options. And when you run Black formatter from in the base directory, in the base directory of this repo, it uses this configuration. So everyone shares the configuration. The configuration is not that big. It's just ignoring some excluding some files. So does that make sense? Yeah. I have one more question. What were some reasons people you were working with were not fully convinced that you should implement Black formatting? It's a stylistic choice. All right, so this is gonna be slightly, so one of the big things about Black formatted code is, this is better explained with an example. So I'm gonna find an example. Yeah, this one has it. So, so Black formatted code, if I look at a class init, okay. So let's say I'm looking at logistic regression here. Black formatted code prefers to place so like this is init. You see how it's like init and then one line at a time for each keyword parameter. So this is, some people like this, some people don't. Some people like writing it this way, you know, like this. But when you run Black Black formatting on this, it brings it to this formatting style. And so what's the biggest barrier was preference, because it's a 10-year code base, and for the longest time, all these parameters were grouped up together in one line. So as a side note, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was to add type hints, which is another discussion for another few months or a year. So that's that's why it took a long time. It's opinions. That's when you have a project this big for this long, you have many opinions. And I'm trying
that's
to.
why it's called gradual typing.
Yeah, for gradual typing to happen, you have to be on board with typing in the first place. All right, thanks for the question.
Does anybody, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody there doing any, making any trading robots or anything like that? Anybody?
You could.
Trading bots, I mean, like in using Python to automatically buy and sell stocks. I've had some questions about converting, trying to use one where I use like Robinhood to scrape, get a price quote and put that in a list and then turn that into a simple moving average, but I have a little trouble doing that.
We could talk about it after lightning talk's over.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's finish up lightning talk. I'll leave the talk alive. I mean Zoom call up for those who want to continue talking. So I'll say thanks everyone for coming for the lightning talks, and I'll end the talk on YouTube so we're not live sharing anymore. Thanks everyone live stream for being here.